Now, whilst any claim that London is moving its legal system to Sharia is obviously false, the US president's comments have touched a nerve, given growing public concerns about the influence of Islamic law over the capital's Muslim communities and communities across the country. What is Sharia law and why is it a problem? How prevalent is it? Let's speak to Mohammed Amin, who is the ex-chairman of the Conservative Muslim Forum. Mohammed, welcome to Talk.
Good morning, Mark.
Can you tell us in layman's terms what Sharia law is?
Yes, the first mistake is, although it's done very commonly, is to put the two words Sharia and law together. Islam has a long history and legal tradition, and law in Islam is called fiqh, which means jurisprudence. Sharia is a word that basically means all of the teachings and doctrines of Islam. The word Sharia itself originates as the path to water at an oasis. And think of the word Sharia as meaning the path to salvation.
Okay, well, that's an interesting and helpful correction. So therefore, how prevalent is the practicing of this sort of legal doctrine across the UK?
Well, let's take a concrete example. I'm a Muslim. I got married in a registry office in Havering in 1978 because I know how important it is to be properly married under English law. As far as I'm concerned, that did not make sex between me and my wife religiously permissible, because I believe that premarital sex is wrong. What made our sexual relationship religiously permissible is that on that same day, we also had a religious wedding conducted in accordance with the teachings of Sharia. That's an example of prevalence.
And therefore, can you give me some of the more extreme examples of a verdict that would be handed down by a Sharia judiciary in this country, even if it was an unofficial one, which by definition it would be?
It's always unofficial. We've had Jewish religious tribunals or Jewish religious courts in this country from ever since we've had Jews in Britain. They're called Beth Din. And not well known, we also have Christian religious courts that determine certain issues inside the churches completely separate from the English legal system. One area which actually causes a lot of problems is that in Islam, divorce is widely understood to be asymmetrical, in the sense that I could divorce my wife by telling her I'm divorcing her on 3 separate occasions, but most Muslims believe that wives cannot divorce their husbands the same way. So women who get trapped in a religious marriage, and by the way, this is also an issue in the Jewish community, have trouble getting out of that religious marriage. But one way of doing that is to go to a Sharia tribunal and get the Sharia tribunal to give them a certificate that their marriage really is over. The husband is basically not behaving as a proper husband. There are other things wrong. The marriage is broken down. And once she's got that certificate, she feels comfortable getting married again. It's a matter of people's personal religious opinions. It's got nothing to do with divorce under English law. And exactly the same issue applies in the Jewish community. In the Jewish community, women in that situation are called chained women because their husband won't give them a Jewish religious divorce called a get. And a Jewish Beth Din actually can't pronounce them divorced, but it can basically order the husband to give his wife a get. And if he doesn't do that, he will be ostracized by the Jewish community.
How prevalent are these unofficial Sharia courts in the UK?
I think that I heard statistics like 60, 70, 80 of them around the country. I don't have hard data, but the whole point is that they're completely up to the people who wish to go to them for religious reasons. I've never set foot anywhere near a tribunal because I'm not interested in them.
Are they in competition, though, with the British rule of law?
Absolutely not. The British rule of law applies to every citizen, regardless of their religious beliefs, full stop.
However, are they a damaging and dangerous development, particularly as the British Muslim population grows?
Not in the slightest. They are performing a function for those Muslims who care about certain things, who want to have disputes, for example, arbitrated, because arbitration is not legal enforcement. in accordance with Muslim religious principles. You might have an argument about inheritance, for example. The whole point is that they have no power except if the people who go before them agree to be bound by them. Otherwise, they have no power
But
whatsoever.
is there a danger that as the British Muslim community grows and those supportive of these Sharia courts become more vocal, that they could ultimately be in competition with the British judicial system, and that independent MPs, for example, in the House of Commons could begin campaigning for that, where Sharia law is legally binding?
I could go on forever about my view of the intelligence from these independent Muslim MPs in the House of Commons. Don't get me started on that. I'm a former Conservative Party member. I'm now a Liberal Democrat. My opinion of those guys is pretty low. But is there a risk of Sharia becoming the law of the country? No.
Fascinating stuff. And what about the remarks of Donald Trump saying Sharia law is coming to London? Do you think that that's wide of the mark? What's your reaction to the president's comments?
Donald Trump has it in for Sadiq Khan, frankly, because Sadiq Khan is a Muslim brown mayor of London. My opinion of Donald Trump is also extremely low.
There you go. Listen, I've got to say, a fascinating conversation. Mohammed, thank you very much for joining us. Mohammed, Amin